Good morning. Whew. Well, you guys, yep for this conversation today because it is a little bit vulnerable one for me. I really want to address our triggers with other people. And in order to do this effectively, I feel like we all need to be, including me, really, really willing to look at some of the deeper issues. I have a pattern in my life that I'm going to share with you that has been one of the most painful things for me, which is I have a pattern where I want to, bring everyone in. I want to include everyone. I want everyone to be happy, everyone to get along. And there, a lot of people are like, yeah, let's do that. And then I will and it feels random to me, I will randomly trigger somebody and they will turn against me. And I will have no idea what I did, what I said, how I lost their friendship, or it'll be someone I barely know who has this deep-seated hatred of me out of nowhere. To me, out of nowhere. And it is so painful for me. I know that there are a lot of people that can do the thing, oh, I don't care what people think of me, haters gonna hate, And it has been one of the main fears about me putting myself out there. Whether it's like I'm doing now with Coffee with Donnie, or doing big events, or, having a big Facebook group or whatever, is, oh no, I'm going to bring that energy into my life of people being triggered by me, hating on me, talking crap about me, behind my back, whatever. And so I've really, really been looking at this and seeing, where am I adding to it? Where am I on the other side of it? So allowing myself to get triggered by other people. And I've just dived right into it. So the first thing is just admitting that when it happens to me, it hurts a lot. And just being okay with that. I'm not trying to change that, because I've tried for many, many years to not care, and I still care. So part of this is just me admitting admitting to you guys that when it happens, it is actually painful for me. And I'm not going to let it stop me. Okay, so we've talked a little bit before about being willing to receive judgment, and I am surrendering to that. I'm surrendering to that I will be judged, I will be criticized, and that it will hurt my feelings. So that's just, it is what it is, and I'm okay with not being okay sometimes. So there's that part of it. And I know, you guys, I can't be the only one. I can't be the only one that has a tendency to bring that energy out in other people. But even for the people that feel that about me, I usually still love them. So that's just, I'm going to love some people that hate me, and I can be with that. The other thing is, I really, really want to look at, why do certain people trigger us? There are things and experiences and whatever that trigger us, but why do certain people trigger us? So I want you to think in your mind about somebody that just bugs you. They just bug the shit out of you. You don't even necessarily know why. Maybe you find them obnoxious. Maybe they just get something in you, just sort of, likes it when they're not doing well. Or, man, I wish she would put on 50 pounds. Or you kind of find yourself either being happy when they're not succeeding, or you just feel this repulsion to them. Okay, they trigger you. Now, there's no way in one video to cover all the possibilities there, but I want to cover two possibilities. The first one I want to talk about is something I've experienced quite a bit. And that is that there's something about that person that reminds me of my own shadow. So we've been talking about archetypes, and maybe they have the same archetype as me. And they're in let's talk, first we're going to talk about they have the same archetype as me and they're in the shadow of it, which reminds me of my own shadow. So it's actually that I wish I wasn't like that, but watching it outside of myself reminds me that I still have to work on that, and it's just repulsive. Or where it's someone that reminds me of my younger self, okay? I have so experienced where someone will drive me crazy, but it's because they remind me of the way I was when I was 22. They remind me of those parts of myself that I really have rejected and pushed away. So that's one possibility when we're getting triggered, and one place we can look. Does this person remind me of parts of myself that I have pushed away? Maybe things you were when you were younger, or things you're like trying not to be anymore. So for instance, let me give you an example. I was a huge flirt when I was younger. And so when I see girls, like what I feel is like overly flirtatious, I'll just roll my eyes. I don't like to be around it, but it's because it reminds me that I used to be like that, which has been embarrassing for me. So the way that I've been dealing with that is when I notice that, I'll bring, invite it to the table, right? Hey, well, here's a piece of myself I've been pushing away. I'm just going to go ahead and let myself be with it and be okay with it and heal it. All right? Here's the second possibility. What if sometimes when you're triggered by somebody, even to the point of like actual repulsion or hatred, wanting to kind of bring them down, bring them down to size, put them in their place, reject whatever they say. What if it's somebody who has had the same challenges as you, but who has brought them into the light, and that they're a reminder to you, to us, I'm putting myself in this same thing, they're a reminder to us of what we could be if we were willing to be empowered. Our personality traits, our archetypes, our childhoods. So for instance, you see someone who maybe suffered the same type of childhood abuse that you did, but who has really been courageous with it and worked on it and worked to heal it, and they're doing amazing things in the world. And all of a sudden, and this is all subconscious, and this is my thing, is to bring the subconscious to the conscious so that we can be powerful with it. We got to bring it into the light, you guys, and see it, no matter how icky it is. We don't want to look at this. We don't want to look at that. We want to put it all over there. No, I don't like this person because they're actually obnoxious. They're buggy. They think they're so great. They're bossy. They're too flirty. They're untrustworthy, whatever. But what if it's a signal, a message to us to look inside? Okay? So when you hear me say these two things, does the person who triggers you, is it someone who is in the shadow in a way that you used to be or still are and have rejected? Or is it someone who is in the light where you are still in the shadow? So maybe you had this goal that you wanted to, have a really, really clean house. And here's someone who has done that. Maybe in spite. Maybe they have the same illness you do, but their house is clean. But you've been blaming the fact that your house isn't clean on your illness, and now you can't do that because they're proving that wrong. Does that make sense? You guys, this can be really, really deep. This stuff, this can really bring some stuff to the surface, but we can use our triggers and our hatred of other people to heal what is in us. It can be such a blessing to see the shadow or the light outside of us and then use that as a beautiful mirror so that we don't have to project it. As long as we're blaming somebody else and projecting it onto them, we are not being powerful and empowered in how we are looking at it in us. Okay? So none of this is to judge or shame. Because believe me, you guys, I've done it too, especially with that first one. I'm more the type that will do it with someone who I reject that piece of myself. When I see someone who has my same struggles, especially my same childhood struggles, but who has really come out the other side of it, to me, I find that inspiring. But either way, like, what are we willing to look at? Okay, so I'm going to just fully own that part of this video is self-serving in that I've been in pain with this to a certain degree. Being the person who triggers. And I just want to kind of set a formal claim out there, a boundary that says, if I trigger you and you're willing, are you willing to look at why I trigger you? And not just me specifically, right? But anyone who triggers you. But in my case specifically, if you want to have a conversation about it, I'm open to that. I'm open to that. So can we fully own our triggers and maybe even have a conversation? Now, you don't have to have a conversation with the other person. It's not part of this that you absolutely have to say, hey, you've triggered me and this is why. If you don't feel comfortable or you don't feel like that will be serving, then you don't have to. But so who's with me here? Who is willing to look at this? Who is willing to look at why you've been upset with someone? If they have not, like, you can really be honest with yourself and go, okay, honestly, they haven't really done anything to me personally. They haven't hurt me. They certainly haven't knowingly hurt me. So why do they trigger me? And look, and here's the deal. I would love to hear from you, because if there are other things you're seeing, like you're like, okay, there's someone who triggers me, but it's neither of those scenarios. But it is this scenario. Now that I'm willing to look inside myself and use this as a mirror, then here's the scenario that I see. Please comment on this video, because that will bless all of our lives to be able to unpack this, to be able to parse this out. Because I don't want us all to walk around needlessly avoiding certain people or hating certain people or really like losing our own power when we're around certain people. I want us all to be able to see what is so and handle it. It's coming up to heal something. It's not coming up to torture us. It's really coming up to heal something. So I'm doing this work now. I spent quite a while last night looking at who in my life upsets me, brings up my issues, triggers me, and why. And that is my request of you. So who is willing to do it? Who is willing to take this on? Who is willing to be honest with yourself and own your own triggers and see it as a mirror? Because it can be really freaking powerful and a relief. Doesn't it feel so good when you've been mad and then you see through it and you're able to come out the other side and maybe even reconnect with someone that would be a force for good in your life? Truly. So I freaking love you guys. Even if you're somebody that I trigger, I love you. I want to be connected. I want to be a force for good in your life. And I know that so many of you feel the same way. So let's be willing to do it. I know this is kind of a one, but I trust that you guys have the courage and the wherewithal and the self-awareness to do this. Again, I love you. I'm pulling for you. I'm on your side. I support you. May your coffee be strong and your life be blessed.